Hi, this is a quick review to help you to remember what we've been learning on your Google form today. So here we go for this first one. Well, we need to determine if they have the same signs or different signs. So if we look at that, we have here a -3 and we have a -5. Those are the same signs. They're the same. They're not different. All right, we've learned a few things about the same signs. So let's draw that out just to make sure we know the model. So you can use models today. So if we have 3 negatives, we can draw out 1, 2, 3 negatives. And then we have 5 negatives. So let's draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no zero pairs. We just have a bunch of negatives. How many negatives to be exact? Well, if we count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 negatives. So that is our answer from our model. If we look at this from our number line, we start at 0 and we move towards our negatives, 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to move from that -3 towards our -5 more spaces. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where did we end up? Oh, look, -8. So if we're using our rules or those notes that we took, what did we do? Well, we determined that they were the same signs. So we added the values. And we kept the signs. We're going to keep the sign. If they have the same signs, we add the values, we keep the signs. We add the values, keep the signs. Here, let's make that into 3 beautiful things. Same signs, add the values, keep the sign. So that works. That's good. Let's look at our example number 2, and then you're off to do this Google quiz. Bum, bum, bum. We have those double negatives. Remember we put on there, beware the double negatives? It's weird grammatically, so we usually need to rewrite that. This here is like saying, I never not go to school. What am I saying when I say that I never not go to school? Well, saying that I always go to school. Another way to think about that is if you say something like, let's go with, I don't disagree with you. If I say that I don't disagree with you, what am I really saying? That I all agree with you. I do. So keep in mind those double negatives right next to each other. Technically, that's multiplication here. So we look right where I crossed it out there. That's technically a negative times a negative. They're just right next to each other with that parenthesis. So a negative times a negative does make a positive. But my favorite way to do that is that double negatives, and you can kind of see that those almost connect to make a giant plus sign there. From here, do we have the same signs or different signs? Well, we have this -6 here. We can see that up here. We have a -6. And then we have this +2 over here. There's a +2 over here. So those are different signs this time. Not the same, not the same. They're different. Let's draw those different signs here. We have -6. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives. This should look familiar. Then we have 2 positives. Now we have 0 pairs. Opposites that combine to give us 0. They give us nothing. So these pairs, we have 1 pair here. We have another 0 pair here. Those are gone because they made it zeros. How many signs are left over? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 negative signs left over. So our answer is a -4. Oh, I didn't leave much room for that. All right, moving on. So if we do our number line, we can start from 0 and move from the 0 towards our negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces because our first integer was a -6. From there, from that -6, we go towards our positives. 1, 2 spaces. So from there, we end up at a -4. Notice the 0 pairs. They're lined up again there on the number line. So Let's look at our explanation. So the first thing we did was we took care of that double negative, which made it positive. Shorten it down to that. Why not? What else did we do? Well, step 2, we checked they had different signs. Since they had different signs, we found our difference, which is a mathematical word for subtraction. So really we subtract our values. We find that difference, different sign. We subtract the values. And then we see who wins the sign battle. Well, the larger absolute value wins the sign battle. How does that work? Great question. Glad you asked. Well, if we look here, we could take care of that double negative. Negative times a negative makes that positive, just like we drew there. The different signs, we can subtract our numbers. 6 minus 2 gives us 4. And the larger absolute value, which number is further away from 0 on the number line? That -6 is. So that negative wins the sign battle. So it's a -4 as our answer. You may use any models you want, your choice. Please use your notes. You got this.